Thank you. Oh, I'm done. Good evening. When I was a teenager, I had this really cool shirt. On it was this really fierce-looking hawk in a power dive, talons out. It was about to swoop up and grab this little tiny mouse that was looking at his last moments on Earth and flipping in the bird. And the caption on the shirt said, "The last great act of defiance." And that's what I had in mind when I decided to get shit-faced the night before my wedding. My beautiful bride-to-be had one request of me for the whole wedding: do not get drunk the night before the wedding. But what I heard was an ultimatum. An honor required a last great act of defiance. Now, my wife Bonnie and I, our first vacation together was in Jamaica. We loved Jamaica. We got engaged in Jamaica. We decided to get married in Jamaica. Now, very few people in our families had ever been out of the country, and very few had even been on an airplane before. But with 2 years of saving and planning and begging and pleading and cajoling, we got almost everybody to come to our wedding in Jamaica. As we figured out availabilities and flights and prices, we figured out that we would get married on November 13th. Friday, November 13th. But everybody got to Jamaica fine. I won't talk about the trips home because that's a different story. I'm going to save that for another slam. But everybody had a great time. Right up until my wife said those words, "Please don't get drunk tonight." And I mean, that's a lot of nerve. I mean, how dare she, really? Well, I'll tell you, I showed her. I went out that night and I had rum and cokes, and I had Mai Tais, and I had daiquiris, and I had dirty, rotten bananas. I had every sugary umbrella drink they could make for me. I closed down 5 bars at the resort, and I was on my way to number 6 when I realized my legs no longer worked. Somehow I got back to my room, and I woke up the next day with a head the size of Texas. Everything hurt. Everything was too bright or too loud. I could hear the blood in my veins, and I just wanted it to stop. The sheets on my bed were too loud. There were explosions going off in the hallway that I eventually figured out was somebody knocking on the door. So I crawled to the door and opened it, and the person outside said, "How are you?" And I said, "Please, for the love of God, get me a bottle of aspirin or a gun." And they went out, and an hour later, they brought me 2 aspirin and a packet of gum. But at that point, the pain had kind of taken a back seat. And my body was now like a hot air balloon that was descending too quickly. It had decided to throw everything overboard all at once. When I checked into my room, I was a little disappointed because the bathroom was very small, and when you sat on the toilet, your legs were right up against the tub. I was now grateful for that because this was a 3 exits, no waiting scenario. I was bringing up things that I hadn't eaten since I was 5 or 6 years old. When I was empty, the pain came back. So I burrowed into my mattress to hide from the world. But they wouldn't leave me alone. It was my wedding day. People kept coming to the door, and they were greeted by me with some of the most colorful, obscene curses ever heard outside of the United States Navy. I think one of those people was my mother. Sorry, Mom. At one point, somebody brought by a Bloody Mary, you know, hair of the dog. It set a land speed record through my colon. And then it was time to go get married. So we had decided to get married at sunset in this beautiful little gazebo on the beach. It's about 100 yards from my room, but every step was agony. And I kept running into friends and family, and they were all smiling and happy and laughing, and I wanted to smack each and every one of them. I made it to the gazebo, and I stood there waiting, trying not to lose it. And then it happened. My bride-to-be came walking out from the hotel. She was wearing this gorgeous white bustier covered in pearls and a matching skirt. And it was magic hour. And the sun was coming through and lit her up, so she was glowing. And she smiled at me. And it was one of those smiles that was a secret joke just between the two of us. And that joke was, last chance. And I remember thinking there was no way I was backing out on this. This woman who had been my high school sweetheart, my girlfriend, my roommate, was going to be my wife. And if I was very, very lucky and didn't repeat the mistake of the evening before, I might be able to spend the rest of my life with her. And all the pain went away. And that was, and still is, the luckiest day of my life. Thank you.